Hey, good afternoon. It's Tuesday, May 16th, and welcome to my channel, Everyday Talk 24/7. Going to do a new topic today called the empty nest. And it's something that is pretty commonly talked about in our culture. Sometimes feared, sometimes welcomed. But sometimes it's not a very pleasant experience. And what I wanted to explore in the next few videos is this a biblical concept, the way it's playing out in our culture. The empty nest has become a significant stage of life in the way that you and I live. And despite some recent trends in some of the younger offspring returning to home after college or a not so great work experience and they come back home, the pattern is that children grow up and leave home, and mom and dad are left alone, or often just mom or just dad, and they're alone, they're in the nest. This is a cause for some much concern. How is it playing out for us? This pattern has not been a universal one in both history or even across the world. I had the privilege of spending some time in Germany in the early 70s and was out on my own for a couple of days in the Mosel Valley and spent the night with a family that didn't speak English, and I didn't speak German. But there was a connection there. But what was interesting in this family is that there's Echo. Hey, Echo. In this family, there were three levels. There were the grandparents, the parents, and children, all living there, working together to make this winery grow. And that's a less and less common event. But in that family, it certainly appeared to be working very well. Is this healthy? Is this empty nest thing a healthy pattern? Is it a biblical one? Like I said, I want to do several videos to explore this some. On the one hand, it is good for children to leave home and establish their own families. That's appropriate. However, when there's a brokenness in those empty nests, and they experience that empty nest experience, then a lot of pain and alienation and loss ensues. But there's another reason that drives the empty nest. And that's the one of our culture, that we have moved towards a child-centered experience. And that's not healthy. And that's what I want to look at briefly today and in the next few videos. Kind of a bedrock passage is in Genesis chapter 2, verse 24. Familiar, but nevertheless, when marriage is instituted between Adam and Eve, for this reason a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and they will become one flesh. That's the cornerstone, that husband-wife relationship. In my book, Everyday Talk, I've got a chapter in here on the greenhouse. I think that's God's way of wanting us, the biblical way of raising a family, a greenhouse. The purpose is to get them in there, get the plants in there so they can be out and healthy on their own. You take them out too soon, the plants don't make it. You leave them in too long, the plants also don't make it. So in here, I've got this statement, and this is in the chapter on greenhouse. The purpose of the family is 1, to maintain and nourish the one flesh relationship that exists between husband and wife, and 2, to prepare children to leave home, the home of their parents, and establish their own home. The family does not exist for itself, it exists to serve God. And what this is teaching us is that the husband and wife relationship is the main focus, the stability, not children. But the focus is the husband and wife relationship. It is the husband and wife relationship that is permanent. It is the husband and wife relationship that represents the Christ and his church, according to Ephesians 5 at the end of chapter 5. Our culture has become child-centered, not family-centered. Let me repeat that. Our culture has become child-centered, not family-centered. So children are honored rather than the family, and especially not parents. Parents have been relegated to many places to the role of caretaker. And as we're starting to see an increasing trend in our culture, and in the United States especially, parents are deemed not to be fit to raise their children. Parents have to be kept and separated from their children about crucial life decisions. Because the school, the child-centered school, has the right to do that. That's not healthy. Children are only temporary residents in the home. The husband and wife are to remain together after the children have left. Parents need to note this well. I'm reading again from this little section in Everyday Talk. God wants your children to leave home, establish their own families, whether it's in close proximity or more distant proximity. When children become the primary purpose of family life, the focus of parents shifts from the training and teaching of children to the enjoyment and serving of children. That's when things get really, really bad, when children become an end in themselves. This emphasis is not biblical or healthy. And this self-importance, leads to a self-importance, which leads to selfishness. And I believe we're raising a whole generation of self-important, selfish children. Get this one well. The empty nest must not and should not become a barren nest. It's right for the children to leave, but it must not be barren. There's a purpose for the emptiness. And we're going to be looking at this in upcoming videos. The empty nest should be nourished with love and support of children who will not leave parents to fade away into retirement centers and nursing homes, which is happening far too often. The support, life experience, and wisdom of grandparents is largely missing in our culture, and even in the church community, to our great harm. This is the result of a child-centered culture. In the next few videos, we're going to be looking at the biblical view of husband and wife as the cornerstone of the home. And this is what makes for the empty nest experience to be positive and not barren. The destructive impact of the child-centered community, child-centered culture on the empty nest, how that happens. And then how the empty nest can avoid becoming a barren nest, and how we can mine the resources of what God has meant this empty nest experience to be. The empty nest must become a place of beauty and strength, not a place of abandonment. And this is the challenge to our church, to all of us, to think biblically, what does God have to say? And we're going to be looking at that in the next couple of videos. I love your prayers, support, your feedback, your questions, comments. Q&A Friday, this Friday. I look forward to that. But this is an important topic. Pray about this. We need to reclaim the empty nest and make it a place where God is honored. Thank you so much for being here, and Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow. Good evening. Thank you so much for watching. It is such a huge encouragement.